It's not in her nature to complain, but will there be many complaints about this figure? Here's a look at new Jakks specific The Simpsons 5-inch Lisa Simpson. Immerse yourself in Springfield with the Simpsons 5-inch Wave 2 Lisa Simpson action figure. Fully articulated, she includes her saxophone accessory. I look at Lisa and I start to think, I wonder if we're ever going to get a Bleeding Gums Murphy. Perhaps too far down the rabbit hole, and Jakks is probably already going to be considering some more B-tier characters before we deal with Bleeding Gums. Well, maybe we don't think as much about Bleeding Gums. Let's think a little bit more about how tall the figure actually stands. And to do that, of course, I'm going to bring in my trusty tape measure. It's right here. Let's go to the very top of Lisa's head we go. Now, even though the figure is of the 5-inch scale, Lisa clearly isn't 5 inches in height. She actually only comes up to about 3 inches of that, translating to a figure that's about 7.5 centimeters tall. With 2 waves only in, we're already surpassing what Super 7 did when they had the Simpsons license. Considering, though, 2 waves in and we already have ourselves a regular Homer Simpson and a regular Bart Simpson to go along with Lisa. The only characters we have left from the Simpson clan are Marge, Maggie, and Santa's Little Helper, and Snowball 1 or 2. Of course, to also add to that as well, we've got ourselves another variation of Bart. Here's what she looks like with Bartman, bringing in a couple of other characters from the Simpsons world. Here's also what they look like with Otto, Groundskeeper Willie. We just recently had a look at Moe, the bartender. And over here, we also have ourselves Krusty the Clown. Now, again, a good lay of the land. This is only just 2 waves in, and look how many characters we've already gotten so far from Jakks Pacific. In fact, the only thing I could really nitpick about the Jakks Pacific Simpsons stuff so far is the accessories are pretty light. The characters, first of all, don't come included with display stands, not that they necessarily need to, but I almost feel like with Lisa Simpson, she does need something in order to help balance her, especially when she's got the saxophone in her hand. I have myself a display stand here from McFarlane Toys. Even though it does use the same size peg, unfortunately you will be disappointed if you try to use one with these Simpsons figures. The hole is the same. Unfortunately, though, the hole isn't deep enough. So while you can attach it, though, onto a display stand, it won't go all the way in. I do think, if anything, they could have included tiny little circular display stands. Maybe not also for the 2.5-inch variety, something that also Jakks Pacific is doing, but at the very least, though, for 5-inch scale, as you can already see, like Lisa Simpson is a little top-heavy. She's got tiny, tiny little feet. And I think certainly when it comes to her also holding a saxophone, this is also one thing that's going to be a problem when it comes to actually having her displayed with it. Because the way they've actually designed and molded the saxophone, obviously her hand is nowhere near the size to hold around the actual, I don't know if that would be the shaft of the saxophone. I actually had I played the saxophone in junior high. I think it was an alto sax. It wasn't a baritone sax, it was an alto sax. But this is all sort of molded here in a caramel color plastic. What they've only really done to help Lisa along the way is they've given this little bit of a loop on the back of the saxophone. So, like, realistically, there's no way. I mean, look at the size of her tiny little hands. These little sausages aren't going to be holding anything. So instead, what they end up doing, so obviously you can't put it around here, they give you this little loop that fits, though, just basically around her hand like that. The thumb is really doing all the work, and already you can see the way that she holds it, even if you want to bend even the elbow, having it close to her mouth like this, it's so difficult to get into her hand. And then on top of that, you have to worry about having the figure falling over. I don't know how many times at the beginning of this review, her spinning around on that rotisserie, the figure fell down several times. But again, you can get her around the handle here, but it doesn't hold it all that well. I think if anything, if you're going to lose the illusion of her having actually holding the saxophone, maybe make the loop a little bit bigger. I think the better thing would have been just to make this big enough so you should actually get her fingers in there. The fingers, first of all, they just don't fit. And then again, the only proper way for her to properly hold it is with the thumb. The thumb is doing all the work. Of course, good luck, though, trying to put her down on anything. She's just going to fall over every single time. I don't think it's so much the fact that her feet are small like this. It's just so much plastic goes into her head that it's going to cause clearly conflict when it comes to displaying her on the shelf. Again, I feel like either include a display stand with these figures if they don't want to use that just for budgetary reasons. At the very most, just make the handle a little bit larger so it could fit around her grip, because again, the thumb is doing all the work in Lisa's case. Anyways, let's move that off to the side. I do wish, though, that they could have included, at least for Lisa here, a couple of little books, something as well. But it seems like with many of these cases, all the characters really only getting like 1 accessory, sometimes 2 if you're lucky. The head sculpt, though, for Lisa is quite good. I haven't really had any issues so far where I could look at the head sculpt and think, boy, Jakks really dropped the ball on this. I mean, in a perfect world, if Super 7 had still continued the line, we would have got ourselves multiple head sculpts here for Lisa. Also, of course, would have gotten ourselves some textbooks or something along those lines, or more episode-specific accessories. But though it seems to be more bare bones with Jakks specific, at the very least, you could say the company at least is doing a Lisa Simpson. Super 7 couldn't do that at all. Size-wise, though, I'm going to bring in Bart Simpson so you guys can see the size differences between the two. Yeah, again, I think that the size for Lisa is appropriate to that of Bart. I mean, she's obviously, though, a lot smaller than he is in the cartoon. I don't know if we are going to be getting other variations of Lisa Simpson, but I mean, generally, though, while Bart maybe does change his t-shirt, it seems like every couple of years he brings out a brand new colored shirt, Lisa tends to only really ever have this flower petal dress. The dress itself, if you look at the undercarriage of that, they've actually at least colored in trunks, so, won't be seeing anything underneath here. There seems to be a little bit of articulation, but I think it's more just the way they've attached it onto the rest of her body. She's got the pearls there on the top, eyelashes painted well there in black, the pupils not messy at all. Again, head sculpt looks pretty good. I think, though, looking at it from the side, it almost kind of looks like there's this really unnecessary outline here where the hair seems like it's a separate piece from her face. I mean, we sort of established the idea, at least with the Simpsons, that their hair is sculpted into their face. So, of course, when it comes to Bart doesn't have a hairline. His face basically goes right into his hair. Lisa also, you'll see, is very notably a much brighter yellow. I think they probably would have kept the colors of yellow a little bit more close to one another. But again, it's a good overall looking Lisa Simpson. Now for the articulation, though, for the figure, it's pretty much what you would expect with a 5-inch variety. Head's going to rotate only all the way around. It's not going to have a ball joint. Don't expect that. The arm's going to rotate all the way around as well. Those also hinge out. They're on single hinges. Speaking also of single hinges, she also only has that in her elbow. It allows at least the forearm to rotate back and forth. And the hands, as small as they may be, look at the tiny little sausage fingers that she has. The hands also rotate all the way around. There is no waist swivel, because again, her dress is occupying all that. The legs do split only by just a little bit. You can move them only forward and back, just again a little bit, not much at all. She has a single hinge in her knee. She has also as well articulation here in her ankles. You can't really move them up and down very much, but you can certainly rotate them all the way around. Loose things on Lisa. Stop that. Loose things on Lisa. Out of the packaging, I didn't notice really anything problematic. Elbows were generally mostly tight. The knees are okay so far with Lisa. I don't have any issues with that. Maybe loose ankles. But I mean, for all that you're really doing with them, you're only going to be swiveling back and forth anyways. Lisa is, again, a well-welcomed addition to the Simpsons family. I mean, again, we're 2 waves in, 3 characters of the Simpsons already in. Again, the only problem with Lisa is that she does have some bit of balancing issues. Don't, though, expect that you can use yourself a display stand for another figure company. It isn't going to happen unless you happen to find one that's got about half the length of that peg. I'm sure there's probably been other companies on the market that have done similar-sized pegs. Not as high of a peg, though. And again, bring back in at least the Simpsons clan. Here's what she looks like with Bart. Again, also here's what she looks like with Homer. Scale, I think, pretty decently. I wouldn't want these necessarily to be... I mentioned this when we had to look at the Mo, for example. I can't see myself really only investing in getting the 5-inch now Simpsons figures. The 2.5-inch, well, again, the novelty is certainly there that they include also the environmental, the scene-specific backgrounds, like the Simpsons homes. That seems tempting and all, but I think, again, if you have someone like myself who has very fleeting space regularly, the idea of even adding more clutter to the shelf is not something you really want to start to consider. I am all for the idea of collecting Simpsons figures from what we got from Jakks so far. Like the line. I mean, granted, again, when it comes to the accessories, they're pretty limited. Lisa's, again, only going to come include with her saxophone, and that's it. Could they have included more? Yes, I feel like they could have included more. But the fact that, again, we're 2 waves in, and we've already got a Bart, a Lisa, a Homer, and, of course, also Bartman over here, that's not bad at all, considering that Jakks has had the licensing for as little of time that they've had so far. Lisa Simpson is at least one of the Simpsons figures that Jakks has produced that has appeared both in the 5-inch and the 2.5-inch scale. What I have been a little bit bothered by so far that Jakks has done is that they've seemed so far to make exclusive figures for certain size classes. So like Chief Wiggum, for example, and Ned Flanders, anywhere in sight have they appeared in the 5-inch scale. We've also got as well Sideshow Bob. Sideshow Bob would have been a great release, but again, hasn't yet been released in 5-inch variety. The only thing, again, that concerns me is Jakks Pacific is going to set aside certain characters with certain size classes. So if you want to get those characters, you have to buy the size that go along with it. Sideshow Bob, again, is the character I really would like to see to go along with Krusty. I don't want to have to think that I'm going to be buying a 2.5-inch version of Bob in order to get that as part of my collection. Again, Lisa Simpson, when it comes to her accessories, is generally quite light. It goes with the territory so far of many of the characters. I think, like all of them, have only come included with one accessory. Did Homer come with two? I think he technically came included with a box of donuts and a standalone donut. So I guess if anything, he does come with two accessories. Mo, for example, did also come included with his phone as well as the bar rag. So he had two there as well. Lisa, at the very least, come on, she's the smartest character of the Simpsons family. Could they not have at least thrown her a couple of books? Not literally. Don't literally throw books at her. But I feel, if anything, they could have included a couple of books. Either way, though, at least she comes included with her saxophone. The saxophone, though, is tricky to get in her hands. And then even on top of that, getting in her hand and getting her to balance is only just a miracle to get that accomplished. So far, knock on wood, she seems to be spinning okay on the rotisserie. She hasn't fallen over yet. Maybe we should speed this along. I did, though, by the way, get Lisa Simpson over on Entertainment Earth. Still seems to be difficult to find these figures. I keep checking around the local stores, nothing. Jakks still continues to stock their Nintendo figures, but no Simpsons figures in sight. I ended up ordering this one again from Entertainment Earth. The only other places I've sort of started seeing these now showing up is on Amazon. But again, if you guys are interested and would like to get Lisa for yourself, you can certainly click the link down below that will take you over to Entertainment Earth. While you're there as well, that same link will save you 10% on anything that's currently in stock. Is Simpsons not really your jam? That's okay. You can still use the affiliate link and it'll save you again anything that's 10% off on anything that's currently in stock. Have you been collecting any of these Simpsons figures? Let me know down below in the comments section. And which size class are you guys currently collecting? 2.5 or 2.5 inch scale, or you prefer the 5 inch like I do? Let me know down below. If you guys in the meantime did enjoy this video, do it a solid, throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, but the most important thing, obviously, is that you're coming back. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.